Everybody, and today I'm here to talk about Batman Sub-Zero. So this came out, I think, 1994 or 5, and this movie is like, I think this came out like while the new Batman Adventures were coming out, and the runtime when this came out, it's a little weird, but anyway, this movie is about Batman going up against Mr. Freeze as he is kidnapping Barbara Gordon to save his wife, as he found out that her blood is the type to save her. And it's basically like a detective work kind of movie with Batman and with something to do with Mr. Freeze. And this probably came out around the time Batman and Robin came out, so that's probably saying something. And I think they pushed this movie back because they were worried the movie would get backlash because Batman and Robin came out, and so they wanted to wait, I guess. And you can probably say this is a sequel to Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, and let's give our honest thoughts on this movie. So obviously, in my opinion, I do not think this is as good as Mask of the Phantasm. It doesn't have that emotional weight that Mask of the Phantasm had, or brilliant animation it had. I mean, this animation is great. I love Bruce Timm's artwork for Batman. This is probably the last time that they used this version of the show in this movie format. Honestly, I could see this as a long episode with Mr. Freeze. And if you don't know Mr. Freeze's history in the DCAU, it's very different from the comic book version, where Mr. Freeze, he wants to save his wife, and so he froze her, and he's willing to commit criminal acts to get what he wants, to save her. And he's like a syphilitic villain. I gotta say, this movie is not as good as those Mr. Freeze episodes. The Heart of Ice, I'm pretty sure it's called. That episode's amazing. It's a really good episode of Batman the Animated Series. And I could honestly view this as like a sequel to that episode. And I think the movie opens with like Mr. Freeze finding the people, these like tribes of people who are trying to find something in ice, but they're all taken down by Mr. Freeze, who has like a army of like polar bears. And when the plot really sets in is where he kidnaps this, well, sort of, he has this one doctor join him to find whoever it is, to find who would have the right blood to save his wife. And that's what he does. They look on the computer and they find Barbara Gordon, who has the perfect blood type. But as this is all going down, Barbara Gordon is with Dick Grayson, who are on a date at a party with Bruce Wayne. And I don't know why, but somehow the animation style looks different. Like, for some reason, like, their eyes suck, because they're not how they usually look. There's something like a lighter tone when it comes to the animation in this movie, since this movie has probably a bigger budget than the episodes of the show. But, like, they're having a nice party, but Barbara Gordon was late because she was busy being Batgirl. And earlier in the movie, Batman and Robin were fighting some gangster, and then they go to the party, and that scene was cool, Batgirl fighting. Yeah, and this is the last time we see Batgirl in, like, her iconic, like, blue costume in the show. And later in the new Batman Adventures, it was the black and yellow costume. And yeah, I really like that costume, by the way. I never really got to talk about it, but something about it I just like. It first appeared in, like, Shadow of the Bat. I thought it was super cool. But she mainly helps a woman from getting mugged, and then she goes to a party, Barbara Gordon does, with Dick, and they have a good time, like I said. But I think things take a turn once Mr. Freeze arrives out of nowhere, and it leads to, like, this cool car chase. Like, Dick pops on he doesn't have time to put on his Robin costume, but he puts on, like, a motorcycle he borrows from somebody, and he chases Mr. Freeze as they put Barbara in, like, a tank, and he tries to save her, but it's just Freeze's freeze gun is too tough, and it blocks Robin away, and so now he teams up with Batman, and the dynamic duo, decide to go on an investigation to save Barbara. So honestly, my big issue with this movie is just, like, I think Batman's not really in the movie too much. Like, it doesn't really feel like a Batman story. I mean, I know he's in it. It's called Batman Sub-Zero, but, like, it's more of a Mr. Freeze story, and I know that's the whole point of the movie, but, like, I feel we get a lot more scenes of Batgirl, but, like, she doesn't wear a costume in this movie, as she's kidnapped the whole movie. And I feel like, I don't know, we just could have gotten more scenes of Batman. But they mainly do some, like, detective work, where they meet up with this one lady who works with the scientist, the doctor, who is going to help Barbara Gordon, and it turns out he's been missing for a week. And so Batman and Robin pick up on this, and it leads them down a trail to where they can find, like, this factory that Barbara is at. And that's where Mr. Freeze is keeping her. He mainly, like, chains her up in a bed, and she actually tries to escape with the help of some little boy who Mr. Freeze abducted, who raised him or something. I'm not sure, but, like, Barbara tries to escape through an air vent, but Mr. Freeze blocks it once he catches on to what she's doing. And she's almost congested to this whole thing until Batman and Robin show up after they go into the Batcave, finding out what happened, and we get a bunch of, like, cool CGI in this movie, which was cool. I thought those scenes were cool. It'd be interesting if they did this entire movie in CGI, but there's only, like, a few scenes of CGI. But Batman and Robin go to the factory, and the rest of the movie is I think it takes place at the factory, where it's like this intense scene where Mr. Freeze kind of just stops being the villain in the movie. After he's realized he's gone too far, but he gets into, like, a big fight with Batman, as we get some cool scenes where Batman fights, like, these polar bears, and they fall off, and, like, but I think something erupts as there's too much, like, chemicals in the place, and it causes, like, the place to blow up. And, like, there's this huge wildfire in this factory. And the rest of the movie is where Batman tries to escape. And, like, he frees Nora Freeze, but she's mainly passed out. And he mainly carries her around to try to escape this factory. And Mr. Freeze actually almost dies in this. But I think the doctor from earlier, after he tried to escape, I think he gets, destroyed by the fire, I'm pretty sure. But, like, I think, like, next is, like, Barbara actually rescues the little boy as she tries to convince him to have a good heart. And, yeah, we do learn about his backstory a little. But the two tried to escape with Robin on the Batwing, and they put them all on board. But Batman stays behind to save Mr. Freeze. He tries to catch him, but the rubble falls, and Mr. Freeze falls to his death, and we think that's the end of him. But it turns out, after they all leave, escaping, Mr. Freeze actually survived the fall and was taken into a small home, I'm pretty sure, of where he can survive in his environment. But it turns out Wayne Industries actually helped Nora from her disease that she's been dealing with. And it ends with Mr. Freeze crying happily as he knows that his wife is now saved. He can now live in peace with a broken ankle, and he walks with his polar bears into the snow, and that's Batman Sub-Zero. So, yeah, this movie, like I said, this movie isn't as entertaining as Mask of the Phantasm. It's more of a simpler story of Mr. Freeze, but I think those Mr. Freeze episodes are a lot better than this movie. But there are certain things I enjoy about this movie between Batman and Robin, and yeah, I do like how it seems a little centered on Barbara Gordon, but I just wish we got a lot more Batman in this movie. But, it felt like a finale to Mr. Freeze's story, but we don't see him again until, like, the new Batman Adventures, where he's revealed to be, like, a spider, a head in a jar, and then he's in Batman Beyond, where he finally gets his closure. But those were amazing episodes, but I'd probably give this movie, like, maybe like a 7 or a 6 out of 10, but, yeah, so I don't know what the next movie we're going to review. I'm going to think it's going to be Indiana Jones 5. I'm saying that in a Batman review. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.